Good evening, everybody. Lundlubber here again, and today we're coming up with our next vault video. So we do have quite a few single vaults this week. I didn't sit through and farm a whole bunch on the characters this week. Of course, you know, the typical excuse that I've had has just been kind of busy. So I know that I do have at least one myth slot on the Warlock, the Paladin, and the Mage. And then from there, we also have an up-and-coming Hunter that will have quite a few different vault options. We got a full heroic clear on the Hunter. We did some tier 11 delves and a couple of regular keys, nothing too insane. But what we're going to end up starting with is actually just getting into the Warlock's vault. So we did one level 10 last week, so we've got one myth slot on this guy. Now, a single myth slot is, honestly, for the Warlock, going to be about a 50-50 shot. We're decently geared with myth gear. I've got, you know, a couple of decent crafted pieces as well. And so it's going to be kind of a gamble to see if we end up getting something that'd be worth it, or if we end up having to just take the 2 tokens instead. And then what I would like to do this coming week, if I don't have time or the energy to do keys on, you know, all these characters and do so many of them, I may just end up doing some tier 11 delves to start getting some of those achievements knocked out instead. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and we'll head in here. Destruction, loot spec, not that it matters for Warlock. We'll see what's going on, right? So we got a bunch of myth slots already. And let's see what it is. For this week, myth shoulders, which we do already have myth shoulders. So it's a little unfortunate. But if we wanted to shift our stat priority in a different direction, those shoulders would be a decent, you know, haste crit option instead of a big mastery little haste. I don't think we have any of these tokens already. So yeah, we're just going to take that. We're going to take that. That'll shift the Warlock's stats a little bit more in the right direction. I know I'll probably get roasted for the stats from a couple people, but that's okay. It's ultimately the better choice, because if I just take 2 tokens, that's going to be a little awkward when it comes to trying to get sockets for the rest of my gear and stuff like that. I think I already have a couple sockets on that guy, so I'm not terribly worried about it. So the Warlock, not too bad. I don't think it was a total wash, at least. Just not as big of an upgrade as we would have liked to have seen. So next we'll hit the Paladin. We've been doing a decent amount on the Paladin. We're just a couple 12s away from having all 12s at this point. And then we'll start pushing up to 3k over the next couple weeks, getting our mount, and then just starting to get our resilient keystones as well. And then running more as a group, especially once the rest of our group is put back on normal day shifts instead of night shifts. You know who you are. But protection loot spec for the Paladins, we'll go ahead and open this bad boy. Again, lots of options that wouldn't be great for this guy, and that's one of them. Yeah, so unfortunately we're using a crafted weapon already, and I don't want to shift the stats around. So the Paladin's going to have to take the 2 tokens. Sad to see, but, you know, it happens sometimes. And then the next, this gamble should pay off a little bit more. The Mage only has 2 myth pieces of gear right now. Coincidentally, they are some of the best pieces that arcane mages could ask for. We've got the one-handed dagger and the offhand from Theater of Pain for mage at the myth track. So I'm very okay with already having that. And so that means as long as we don't get a weapon or an offhand, we're going to get something useful. We've got crafted ring. That ring we could switch out. That'd be totally fine. Everything else would be better, realistically. Except for maybe a cloak or bracers. But again, we could just kind of switch some of the gear around and kind of go from there. So we're going to go ahead, arcane loot spec. Make sure we're good to go. Of course, it's a cloak. It's a haste mastery cloak, so it's not too bad. And we can realistically just get the craft on something else, right? So that's an embellished piece for us. We could just shift that to something else if we wanted. Not that much haste. We'd have to do some upgrades on the piece, but could also take the double coins and start getting ready for that. And being that we already use a 681 here, we'll only be able to get it, I think, to 684. So I think we'll just take the 2 tokens on the mage. Unfortunate, considering, you know, we had a really good chance of getting something good on the mage, but here we are, not getting the good. So now we're gonna hit the hunter. Hunter, new character, right? We got this guy leveled up, geared up, and actually decently geared pretty quick. Not as fast as I think I did the mage, but we also had to get this guy leveled up. He was only level 17 less than 2 weeks ago. You can do that leveling all in kind of a day, right? But I took a little bit of time for it, right? So we're now sitting at 647 on this guy. So quite a few options for us. We're going to change our loot spec to survival just in case the vault decides to give us a weapon, because we wouldn't want to get a gun. And we'll see, right? So we got a lot of raid options. So I see some of those up there. We've got a hero cloak. I'm using crafted cloak on this guy also. And crafted bracers, where I also got hero braces. So those 2 are kind of a wash. We did get tier shoulders. We haven't used tier shoulders in the past. It does have speed. So that's kind of cool. Upgrade from a champion to hero. So I would have liked to see a different slot there, but that's all right. Algari Sigil, we've got 2 hero trinkets, one of which being the Eye of Kazan that we won with a 100 roll last week, actually, so that's pretty sweet. Don't think the Algari Concordance Sigil is very good. And then Hero Gloves, that could be a solid choice, just because that would be something that we could tier and it would put it on a better upgrade track for us. So right now, lead competitor is going to be those grips. We've got a hero level trinket. Don't think that the low price putter trinket is very worth it, and then hero shoulders as well. Versatility is not a very good stat for us, so that would end up not being very good. It's the same that we have, just an upgraded track. So we'll double check with a Sim C, but I am fairly certain that the choice here is going to end up being those gloves and then catalyzing them. So we'll get this pasted in. We'll just do, let's see how many. Yeah, we'll do a 5 boss 2 minute, just like we kind of have been. And then we'll do the shoulders up to max. Right, that did, yep. Then we'll do this cloak up to max. We'll be doing everything up to max just to kind of give us that warm fuzzy that it's actually going to be worth it. We'll convert this to a catalyst item and upgrade, and then we'll upgrade this. Great Vault, upgrade these 2, see if they're worth it. And then we could even Great Vault that. So quite a few little iterations that we'll have for this sim. It's only 60,000 iterations, so it shouldn't be anything too insane. But I am still heavily leaning towards the glove direction. We did get a hero helmet and I think hero pants last week, so gloves are one of those. Chest would have been a little bit better, but I'm not going to argue too much. So for some reason, in the AoEs, it's actually saying both trinkets are better than Eye of Kazan. Which kind of makes sense, but I don't want to agree with that. The difference for the gloves really isn't going to be too awful much. Especially when we consider, you know, max item level and everything like that. But it is also saying that these shoulders, just natty, are going to be a lot better. So that's the interesting thing about Sims, right? Is that there's going to be a lot of varying results. So let's do another one of these. And we'll do it single target just to see what the differences are going to be there. It actually says that putter and the Algari Signet were a lot better for survival than I expected. So I'm going to take a look at Archon Survival Hunter for its gear and see what those trinkets are looking like. Yeah, actual use Eye of Kazan's more used than the others. Saying, so for single target, it's saying shoulder or gloves. So I think the choice for us is just going to be the gloves. We're just going to get that. We're going to tier it. We're going to call it. We're going to call it good from there. Not even going to think about it anymore. Putting too much thought into it when we just got to send it, get the upgrades, and move on. But that is all that we have for the vaults this week. Let's look at what our affix is. We've got the Ascendant, the Bargain Ascendant. And if I remember right, that's the one that we've got to kill as she spawns. So that'll cause some interesting issues throughout the week, and we'll see what we're able to do today. Don't know how many people are going to be on, but we'll kind of go from there. And yeah, I'll see you guys when I go live later today. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And then feel free to check out my Twitch as we go live. The link should be in my bio. And we'll see you guys later today. Thanks again.